What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to it.
There are a lot of them, and they are different. First, let's remember the basics, what types of security systems exist and how they differ from each other. In total, there are four main types of systems: alarm systems without feedback, alarm systems with feedback, alarm systems with feedback. With auto-start function and security complexes using satellite alarm systems, GSM, GPS and GLONASS. It is clear that systems without feedback, or one-way, are not able to notify the client about the intruder's entry into the car or about theft. This is their main disadvantage. Alarm system with feedback, the one that has a key fob with an LCD display, can do it. In addition, if this system has tilt and motion sensors, they will not only react to an attempt to break into the car, but also inform the owner. And another important advantage of such systems is the range of the key fob. If the first alarms it is limited to hundreds of meters, the key fob alarm with feedback sees the car at a distance of up to 4 kilometers, sometimes less, depending on the model of alarm. Alarm systems with feedback with an auto-start function differ from the previous type only by the presence of this very function. True, it is very much liked by many car owners, so such alarm systems are now becoming more and more widespread. Especially since the most common cars, VAZ, Renault, Kia, Hyundai, when installing such an alarm system there are no difficulties with bypassing the standard immobilizer, which must be performed by the security system for remote start of the engine. It is not difficult to put such an alarm system in many Skoda and Volkswagen. Well, the main advantage of security systems using satellite notification system is the range of operation, read notification in case the car is of interest to car thieves. And if there are additional antennas, GPS or GLONASS, then in case of theft to find the car is much easier. The accuracy of determining the position is narrowed to 10 meters. In addition, such complexes in case of car theft allow you to shut off, block at the engine of the car in any place, wherever it is in Russia. The main thing is that in this place there was a connection with the satellite. Well, now let's see what works better or worse than the other. Let's start with simple OEM systems. So, a story from practice. Up until 2014 to 2015, the then current generations of Mercedes were almost never hijacked. Their standard protection was quite sophisticated. However, then someone bought and brought to St. Petersburg a grabber, which cost several thousand American rubles. This device allows you to intercept signals from the key fob to the alarm unit in the car. And that's it. The Mercedes went from the owners one by one. More of their regular systems did not stop anyone. And it's a Mercedes. What to say about OEM systems of budget cars, our VAZs, Renaults and almost native Koreans? There the standard immobilizer was bypassed so easily that sometimes car thieves simply did not notice it. After all, it is enough 2 or 3 seconds to read the information about the car and drive away on it to the dismantling. That is why it is not worth to rely on standard immobilizers. It is not serious. I wonder how effective are modern non-standard anti-theft devices and which ones are better. By and large, only 6 types of alarm systems are massively installed in our country: Starline, Pandora, Prisrac, Autolise, Archon and Caesar Satellite. With the onset of the crisis caused by the pandemic, Autolise has significantly reduced its activity, most likely due to a shortage of electronic components. This industry suffers greatly from the lack of chips. Pandora has lost a couple of lines and it is itself quite expensive, although it has no noticeable advantages. Archon uses Starline technology, now technically the same thing. So the choice is now small, and we can at least briefly name the advantages of each brand present on our market today. Let's start with Pandora. There is an opinion, including the company itself, that this alarm system cannot be opened. Indeed, at least a couple of models can be considered unbreakable, but they cost a lot of money. Other Pandora alarms can be opened, there are rubbers for them. So not every Pandora is as reliable as they think. Ghost also claims that there has not been a single theft with their alarm system, but whether this is actually the case, it is difficult to assert. Their main advantage is their very fast smartphone app. Simple and fast. There are no other advantages of these systems. Starline is pleased with very good technical support, which, however, is more important for installers of security systems than for their users. But users should be encouraged by the cost of Starline. Compared to the alarms of the two previous manufacturers, the cost of similar models with similar functionality Starline will be $6,000 lower. In addition, this alarm system allows instead of tags to prescribe a phone, which will work as a tag. And not just one phone, but several. There is, however, in this system a disadvantage, since the signal is transmitted via Bluetooth. Any jammer, for example, at the police building, this signal can block, the system will lose the tag and stop the car. On the other hand, the small radius of Bluetooth coverage is a plus, because the greater the radius of the tag, the easier it is for a car thief to read the signal. Caesar Satellite and Archon are fairly simple alarm systems with GSM and GPS. There are companies that monitor the state of the car and in case of an alarm from the security system notify the client. If the client doesn't get in touch, they remotely silence the car. However, they used to work in a more interesting way. They had a contract with the non-departmental security service. And if the client did not get in touch within 2 minutes, a patrol would go to the car. Unfortunately, in the last few years there is no such service, and this is a big disadvantage. In their time, these were very good systems. Separately, we can say a few words about Igla systems. They are quite effective immobilizers. It is a pity, but they have recently left our market. It is more interesting to work with foreigners. Which to choose? There is no unambiguous answer. All manufacturers claim that their alarm systems cannot be broken into. But in fact, no one has meticulously checked this, and some of those who did received some reward, after which the alarm system could not be cracked. All these security systems are relatively reliable and have the right to life, and some significant advantages that would allow you to make an unambiguous choice. They do not have. At the same time, it should be noted that the effect of them is intangible. And not the least role in this is played by the mentality of car thieves. These comrades, who are not comrades to us at all, have become very lazy lately. There is a great choice of cars now, and nothing prevents them from going from car to car. It didn't work here, we won't suffer, we'll go to the neighboring one. For them the main criterion is time, so they don't want to bother with a protected car. There are a lot of cars around without alarm systems at all. And often it's not so much the security system installed on their car that saves them, but the lack of it on the neighbor's car. A fair question arises, maybe it makes sense to install several different systems. Or will there be a conflict between them? Not more, but better. In the case of inexpensive alarm systems, the myth turns out to be true. It is better to put one alarm system. And alarm systems of different types may interfere with each other. However, if you put expensive GPS systems, you can use their advantage in the form of the possibility of supplementing the system with digital relays that can break various additional circuits, injectors, locks, fuel pump, or something else. But in the past, it was really put 2 alarms each. For example, scannable and non-scannable, which could confuse hijackers. Now there is no sense in this, and it is better to put a complex electromechanical protection. That is, the alarm system, better with GPS, and in addition, a mechanical hood lock, because the radio relay is usually under the hood and safes on the ECU and the OBD connector, through which the OEM immobilizer of the car is read. And another good thing is the slave systems, in which a non-standard alarm system controls the standard alarm system. For example, the latest GPS systems have such a function, which is programmed during installation, polling the tag on the opening of the door and polling the tag on the start of movement. In this case, the alarm system is removed with the standard key fob and at the same time removes the non-standard alarm system. But if within 20 seconds after starting the engine and after starting to move the alarm system does not find the tag, the engine stops. And the alarm system switches to panic. The conclusion is 1. The best way to save the car from theft, to put a complex electromechanical protection. It is desirable to insure the car, because no system will give a 100% guarantee against theft. It is important to remember one detail about the complex: each model requires its own complex, there is no universal one. And what components should be put on a particular car, and what not, should be decided by a specialist. Only where to get it. Dealer or garage. the difference in the cost of installing an alarm system in a dealership or a good third-party specialist is small. Of course, somewhere in a dense garage can be found an inexpensive installation, but it will usually be of poor quality. But where they will put it better is the question. Specialists in DCS are paid less than specialists working in multi-brand services, but this does not mean that there are no good specialists among them. Good specialists can be everywhere. However, as well as crooked cadavers, it depends on how lucky you are. Another thing, the now fashionable author's installation. This, of course, is noticeably more expensive and longer. Such an installation takes several days and sometimes weeks and cannot be cheap. It is clear that the author's approach will not be pulled by everyone, and usually the owners of premium cars come to them, so let's go back to the usual installation. It is best to put the alarm system from familiar and trusted people. If there are no such people, then after installation it makes sense to go to any other service, including the dealer, and check the work there. Collective intelligence usually wins. Installation at the dealer has one advantage: they know how in a particular model it is better to put a security system. Which circuits are better to break, which ones are better to stay away from, how to do it easier and faster. There is one detail that should be taken into account during installation. Usually systems with so-called normally closed interlocks are installed. In this case, you can simply disconnect the unit, start the engine and drive away. They do this so that in case of glitch, alarm system owner did not load the car on the tow truck and could always disconnect the block and go about their business. It would be nothing, but this block is often put openly and the thieves know about it. All they have to do is open the door, rip it off and drive away. Of course, that's not quite right. Therefore, the block should be hidden, and even better to make normally open interlocks. True, you will have to work more carefully, the price of a mistake may be higher, it will be a shame not to start the car because someone laid the wire crookedly. Well, of course, in a good service you must not only give instructions, but also show the location of blocks and demonstrate the work of mechanical locks. If something is not to your liking, you should demand a rework. Especially in the case of accepting a new car from the dealer. A bit of mechanics. What about the good old iron clamps on the steering wheels and pedals? Are these mechanical blockers so effective? The expert is sure anything sold on the market is useless. They can be opened in 5 seconds. However, there are some good locks, e.g. Dragon. It is difficult to find them in free sale, but sometimes they are available at dealers or in certified centers. The disadvantage of blockers is one, they are very rarely updated. One model can be produced for years, and during this time hijackers have time to learn how to fight them. If manufacturers would update these designs more often, they would be more useful. There are exceptions, of course, pro-security, for example. Will it be stolen or not? Unfortunately, despite the assurances of some installers, no alarm system gives 100% protection against theft. Of course, it can reduce the probability of this unpleasant event, but not as much as we would like, approximately twice. Expensive author's security system can protect you by 90%, but 90 is also not 100. Still, it is necessary to have an alarm system, especially now. It is better to do at least something and not to blame yourself later. In the fact that the thief didn't even bother much before he drove away with your car to the dismantler. In conclusion, protecting your car from theft requires a proactive approach and a combination of strategies. By investing in additional security measures, such as advanced locking systems, GPS tracking devices, and comprehensive insurance, you significantly reduce the risk of becoming a victim. Remember, the extra steps you take today can save you from the hassle and financial burden of theft tomorrow. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and ensure your vehicle remains safe and secure. Thank you for watching, and drive safely.